Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia
Hello,
TV.
everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf
Today
of
with
Mindalia,
us, we have, and our apologies for the return on the audio. Today with us, we have Angel Ribo. He is a CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. With him, Brad and Kasey Wallis, they are channelers and founders of the expandwithjulius.com organization, and they're going to be talking about near death experiences with Beverly Brodsky. Beverly is a retired federal analyst. She researches near death experiences and other supernatural experiences. Before starting, we want to remind you that Mindalia TV is a nonprofit organization. Our only mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us. How? Subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down below, or sharing this video with someone that you know that can benefit from the content that we're going to be developing here today. Also, while we are live streaming, we have the active chat open. Is the screen that we're going to be seeing here on my left-hand side that is going to allow you to interact with us. Just please remember the format, the word question in caps, and the actual question. At the end of the conversation, there will be kind and answer. Last but not least, Mindalia TV broadcast daily in Portuguese by Mindalia Televisão, Spanish and Mindalia Televisión, and as you know already in English through Mindalia TV English. So if you are interested in broadcasting content, your own valuable content, you can go to our website and you will find in the top of the page a link that's going to take you to a form that you can fill out. That form is going to allow you to be reached by our technical team. We also invite you to go to our different channels and find out the content that we're developing there. I'm not going to entertain you any longer. I am going to be leaving you with Angel, Brad, Kasey, and Beverly. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mirna. Welcome, Beverly. Welcome, Brad and Kasey to the show today. It's really a very, very special day because, we have someone with an extraordinary experience, experience that she wants to share with all of us. And Beverly, we really are grateful for you being here today. So to start our conversation, I would like to ask you, so what made that experience so incredible, and how did that change your life?
Well, at the time, it was nearly 50 years ago, and there were no books about this. And I thought I was the only one in the world that this ever happened to. And it changed my life because it showed me that we are really there's so much more to us and our divine connection than I had ever imagined. And that we don't die, we just go on. It's just so many things. It just really blew my mind at the time. And now that I know that from IANS, the group that I'm with, I learned that, there are millions of people around the world who have had a similar experience. And so I've been meeting, all of the time, I've been meeting others who've had near-death experiences. And with my group, I do some support group. I allow people to come into their own truth of what happened. And also that I have speakers that come and enlighten us further. So,
isn't it fascinating, Beverly, that even 50 years ago, let's talk a little bit about just the human experience, that even up 50 years ago, that this basically wasn't even accepted as a possibility, that we've been told that this isn't possible, that if you've had an experience like this, that there's something wrong with your brain, or there's something wrong with the way you've grown up. And yet now, in today's world and in society, and with the coming on of the internet and how fast this world is changing, that these are becoming more of the normal way of life for people, that there's a near-death experience going on every day.
Well, what we find the most interesting is that despite the illusion, Master, that this took place approximately 50 years ago, it was just a moment ago. It was just a moment ago. Okay? Experiences and thoughts are in a continual expansion process from the moment of now. So although the original application of your experience took place, through your continued contemplation of it, through your continued mastery and expansion of it, it lives in the now. It lives in continuum. And so, Master, have you noticed from that point of experience that you have had other near-death experiences as well?
Well, I've had other experiences, not quite as dramatic as the one, my original one, where I had a major head injury, and other people said at the time, "Oh, you're seeing things," but it kind of broke my heart open, where I could see what I truly am and what we all truly are, which is infinite beings of love.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So talk just a little bit, Beverly, about what it was exactly from the moment, because if I remember right in your story, you tunneled, or you didn't really call it a tunnel, but you remembered meeting with the being. Is that correct?
Yes. I was released. I had a fractured skull, and I was released from the hospital after 2 weeks with no pain medicine. And I went back to the place where I was staying, and I threw myself down on the bed and said, "Oh, this is too much. God, if you're up there, you can have me now," because I was an agnostic. I wasn't sure if there really was a God.
Wow.
And then with that prayer, I came up out of my body, and all of the pain was taken away from me, which was, it's amazing when you're out of your body, you're automatically expanded in consciousness. And I was amazed that I was still me. I was still thinking and feeling, but I wasn't in that body. And I didn't realize that we are, the strength of our spirituality is so much stronger than the limits of our physical being. And so I looked up on the ceiling, and there was this radiant angel, and he had come for me, and then I remembered him. I knew him. It was like before I was born. I had known him very well, and so he was waiting for me, and this was not in my conception of how things work. So I went to him, and he took my hand, such as it was, because I was in this ethereal body that was perfect. I didn't have the fractured skull. I didn't have all the injuries I had from the accident. And we went flying through the window, and it was like I've been doing this all my life, and I had no fear because I knew that I was protected and that everything was going to be okay. And then
So, Master, the application of the extraordinary experience is the differentiation between that love and fear component. Physical embodiments are the encapsulation foremost of fear-based perspective. The release and the escape from that encapsulation is the authentic application of soul. And through teachings and through theories, people learn or hear or hope that your soul's experience is so love-based and extraordinary, and to be able to embrace that and return back with it. Have you found now that your encapsulation perspective of human beingness has shifted dramatically? Are you now able to embrace more of your authentic soul truth as you now walk on this earth ship in the encapsulated human being body? Have you noticed that difference, Master?
Oh, very much so. Because I didn't realize that we are that love, we are that light. That and so if you could, to continue with my experience, we flew through the window as if it were a thin sheet of, as if it were nothing, and we went out over the ocean, because I was in LA at the time, in Venice Beach, and but I wasn't looking down, I was looking upward, because there was this, people call it, but there was this pathway that was illumined by this beautiful, beautiful light, and the angel, we went into this tunnel, and through it seemed to be a huge distance, but there was no space or time there. It was like just the vibration shifted to where I was leaving the physical realm that we're in, and just then at some point I arrived at the other end, and there was the being of light, and I couldn't see the angel, but at this point I thought, well, this is my destination. I've gone home. I just knew this was home, and although I had forgotten that I had planned all this, and that this was all supposed to be a very loving experience. So I realized that this must be God. It wasn't like the judgmental being that I'd been taught when I was a kid, that there was this guy who tells us what to do, and whether we're right or wrong. There was no judgment, and there was just this love and this radiance. And inside, I was very angry at God at that time in my life, and I as I was being called to join with this loving being, I said, I mean, you just do this telepathically. I said, well, wait a minute. If you're really God, what about this world I just came from, where there's all this violence and war and suffering? I got to ask all of my questions about life, and the reasons that I did not believe in God. So I telepathically out, you express yourself perfectly. And I received the answers. It was like a download. I just love that we have computers and we now have language that points to what the experience was. Download after download, as I asked my questions, and then there was a point where I had no more questions because I got it. I understood how things work, and I was no longer a body feeling of being like a child, being by a loving. It was showing me now all of the other children, or the stars, and we went on a tour of the universe, and I could see that everything was, it was just all of them, that they were like, there was a place of no darkness, there was just light. And we went from beauty and love and acceptance to greater and greater forms of being and acceptance, like the star clusters, and each place was more and more. It was more complex, and yet it was more whole and more and more loving. And then we went to this place that seemed to be at the center of all things, and it was like we went to another portal, and it was like going back to the very beginning, before there was a creation that we have now. And I remember that I had been that girl who said that prayer on the bed, and yet here I was, and there was no more light. It was just the energy of the infinite love, and it was everything that will be created in the next round of creation. Was we were all there, and we were all one, and it was just beyond words. But the reason I bring that back is because, well, in addition to knowing that I had been the girl, the single person who said that prayer in the darkness of my misery, and here I was, one with everything and with God. And it was just bliss and rapture beyond anything that we can experience on earth. And I was like the drop on the wave, and yet I was the ocean, the cosmic ocean as well.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating, Beverly, that as a human being, we are told that everything is outside of ourselves, and yet through your experience, you actually got to experience that you are part of everything, that you, and I'll quote your very last words, that you were a drop in that cosmic ocean of being, okay? We're not taught that at a very young age.
Yes.
Imagine what people's lives would be like, or what their experience here, because this really is just an experience of being human. That's what we're doing. We're experiencing being human. Could you imagine what people's lives would be like if you were taught what you were allowed to experience, how things would be so different here on this realm of existence, on this earth?
Yeah. Returning to the void, Master, is where you went. The void is the launching of all thought, the launching and returning of all creative experiences through thought. And it is an extraordinary place, an indescribable place. And we are so pleased that you have recollection of your experience.
Yes, it's absolutely fascinating.
And it was more real than the rest of my life. I feel like this life, we're like in a dream. It's that was real. That really happened. And even though no one believed me at the time, it was like a precious jewel that I held within my heart, within my soul. I knew what we are, and that we are all connected, and that we're in a loving universe, and things that happen that seem so hard on the human level. Everything is planned for our growth and awakening and development. And I think we're moving into a time now and into a place such as we see it in this illusion of life. We're moving into a place where the veil is thinner and more people are becoming aware that this is the truth of our being.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
Angel.
Yeah, Beverly, just hold on a second. We have to stop for a second. We can hardly see you. There's so much light coming from your right side, Brad. We can hardly see anything. Do you have some blinds or something? Yeah, there's a lot of light coming from your left side. This is right side, excuse me. Oh, so much better.
That's much better, yeah.
No,
Uh-oh.
it's bad again.
Tell him hold on just a second.
Or-
It's bad again. Put it back to where it was just a few seconds ago, please. Well, while you fix this, I'll keep on talking with Beverly. So, Beverly, when that happened to you, you said people could hardly believe what you were saying. But how did your daily life change after your experience?
Well, I came back to, and I don't remember being asked, or I never wanted it to end, but I came back to that broken body and fractured skull. And since the doctors were not willing to give me any medication for the pain, I just had this natural connection, and I could barely, my feet barely touched the ground, and I was just all filled up with all of this love, and I wanted to love the whole world. Everything I saw was sacred, and I saw within everything and every person, there's an inner light, I guess the light of the soul. And it's interesting how much the light is coming through.
Exactly. It's so fascinating that we're talking about light and we're struggling with light. It's obviously everything is connected, so there's a reason why this is happening. It's so powerful. It's so powerful, the light. So you were just telling how your life changed and how you were feeling after your experience.
Well, I realized that I had everything I'd ever been taught was not grounded in this this understanding of the spiritual nature of things, and that I just threw out. I went through all of my beliefs and all my thoughts, and I said, well, this doesn't match my experience, so this must not be true. And I had the blessing for like 6 months of seeing everything as it really is. That's what I believe. I saw this love and light was in and as all things, even the stones, the buildings, everything was filled with this light and joy and love, which is the way we're supposed to feel, the way we're supposed to see things. And it's really a shame that we're so shut down with our belief system that we miss out on the meaning of life. The meaning.
Master, your beautiful depiction of your description in your words were that you could feel this, and that is the truth of what is real, okay? What makes something real and what makes something an illusion in our description is an illusion is anything that can go away. What is real and stays with you and transports with you on your eternal journey into expansion is the way something feels. That makes it real. So when people walk on this earth ship and we talk about things being an illusion, it is because most people are so detached from paying attention to the way they feel from the things around them. That would make this very real for you. Now you have the experience of this realm and this dimension being far more real for you than it ever was before, because everything sparks and ignites an emotional response from you, which then elevates everything here into the extraordinary as you are, Master.
So when you said you for 6 months you were seeing the real world, the reality of everything that exists, how were you living your life knowing that you were seeing that love everything, at everything and everywhere and with everybody? How were you reacting to that as a human being?
Well, I had just moved and I had to find a job, and I it was a disadvantage to have had half of my face had been scraped off in the accident, and I had bandages around my head, and but that stuff didn't matter, and I just was able to interact with people and find what I needed. It's like it's always available. We spend all this time worrying about our next move in life, and whatever it is that we need will be provided. It will be provided. It's I was not in that ego mind, in that worried state of mind. I just let one thing after another unfold, and this miracle of what I was feeling. It was so beautiful, and yet it was the truth, and I was awakened, and it was all about love. And as I said, I wanted to love everything and everybody because I had been given of the love that I was given in that place is beyond words. I was writing to someone the other day who said, "Do we have sex? Is it like, is it?"
Such a human.
It's like, well, we didn't need it. It's like 1,000 times the best orgasm you ever had. Because
you try to explain to people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Beverly, but the minute you think it actually happens, and it not only happens, but it's like magnified 1,000 times to what you think it is here as human, because the human body slows everything down.
And it is the great thing about the human experience is it is a different perspective as to all that you are. It is not good or bad. It is just another perspective. But we always remind human bodies that your physical body does provide clues and remembrances as to what it is to be the all. So through your physical body, you have the opportunity for physical sensations that will ignite an emotional response. And that helps you remember all that you are in the illusion that you are walking on. So we love the correlation that humans love to go to on that. And it's okay because it's a great reference point for you. And to be able to explain to them that you are that feeling in a constant. And even though that conception is very hard to grasp, we want you to just use it as an inspiration or a promise as to what you are.
the other thing, Beverly, I wanted to ask you was, throughout all of this experience, and you're saying 50 years ago, throughout 50 years of time, have you ever been asked the question, well, that just really didn't happen? There's no way in the world that experience happened to you. Have you ever been asked that question?
Oh, yes, many times.
And what has been your answer?
Well, my answer is that this is part of what we are, and some people cannot understand it. They cannot wrap their minds around that
Right.
we are so much more than just this person, and whatever we're saying, we're just saying words. But if I can't reach their hearts, then their minds will reject this thought, and it's too bad that we give all the respect to people who have training, like as doctors, who have been trained completely out of this connection, and so I think there is this split of people who get it and those who don't.
We teach to people, to human beings in our program, that the truth of something is what?
Is that how the way it feels?
Is the way it feels.
Yeah. It's your steadfast truth.
Okay?
It's your
It's
steadfast
the way
truth.
you feel. And so I would bank on, in fact, I would invest in the fact that, because it would be a moneymaker, if I could invest in the way you felt
You feel.
through that whole experience, because that's not a gamble.
Right.
Most human beings cannot understand that concept, that it is the way you feel, because the human, once again, this is just an experience, and the human body, for some people, does not allow you to feel certain things.
What made you come back?
Well, I think that I didn't want to acknowledge it at the time, but I had work to do. I had things I had agreed to do before I left this world. And I was young, I was 20 years old, and I came back and I went to school, and I finished my education. I got married and had a child, and I went through the rest of what I guess is the agreements we have. And yet I feel like everything was divinely ordained that happens to me, and still is, because I've had so many miracles. I've had 2 strokes, and it's amazing that I'm still here. I feel that we all have work to do, and that we're here at this really special time in life, when things are blossoming so much, and and such wonderful things are happening. We're just wearing a coat. It's like a jacket that at some point we're going to take off and go back home, to where we're whole and perfect and complete, and which we are when we have the human experience, but we have these temporary setbacks. We have, the things that teach us through. Unfortunately, many of us learn through suffering, through things that we don't have, what we should have. And the important the important thing for me is to get back to that remembrance of wholeness and oneness, that we truly are, and that will be our destination when we all will go back and be one with everything again.
Beverly, what would be that piece of advice that you could give our audience so that they could start right now to cultivate that connection that you've spoken so much about today?
That's a wonderful question, Angel. I believe it's important to go within and to forgive everything that has happened to you or that you have done to yourself or others, and to forgive and know that everything is what I felt is that everything that happens is just as it's supposed to be. It's all perfect, even when we're going through all of this awful stuff, and to not judge it, to not judge ourselves. And what I love about this program is you are enlightening people. You are allowing people to be who they really are, and to find that love. And as you focus on the love, it becomes greater and greater. And to meditate or go into prayer. And when you feel most lost, most alone, there is always something that remains of a wholeness, and that we can touch that, and it draws us in, and we become more of what we truly are, which is that we are beings of light that are just wrapped in a human cloak. I'm reminded of Shakespeare's saying, "We are all players on the stage," and well, I'm losing the quote I wanted to say, but some people, understand the real aspect of this drama that we're in, and through this drama, and then someday we're going to go back home and meet the rest of the cast, and that we have a soul group, as it were, a soul group here and in the hereafter, that always loves us and supports us, because we're really all one being. Right. And that's the amazing thing. We're all connected. And I would love to have more people on this planet to understand that this is just trappings of what we are as human beings, and that we are all perfect. And
one of our favorite quotes, Master, is that human beings have been lied to. You've been lied to. You've been told that you have a soul. And we say that is the biggest lie you have ever been told. You are a soul and you have a body. And that massive shift in perspective changes everything for you.
Absolutely. And Beverly, you mentioned before that you are part of an organization, people from all over the world, but also from obviously many different places in the US are watching today Mindalia TV. So could you like tell us how to find that group, if it's open to the public, if we can get in touch with that organization? What do those letters mean so we can easily find it?
Oh, it is the International Association for Near-Death Studies. It is based on the research of Dr. Raymond Moody, who wrote the book Life After Life. And but it includes people, not just people who have died and come back like I did, but people who have other kinds of experiences of connecting with the wholeness of what we are. And it's called IANS. The website is IANS.org. And I am the San Diego chapter. I run the San Diego chapter of IANS. And yes, the idea is to provide the most consistent information about what happens, and not all these scientific mumbo jumbo that people don't understand, and it serves to further confuse people about what this is. And when I found IANS, I was 35, almost 40 years ago, through a book in the library, and it changed my life. And I found there at the time I was living in Philadelphia, which was where I grew up, and IANS was headquartered in Philadelphia, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that there was this organization until I went to my first meeting, and there were other people who had had similar experiences, and we could kind of finish each other's sentences. We all had very much of a like mind. And so it began my service to IANS and to the public and to other people who had this experience, who were told to not believe that it was true, not to believe it was possible. And so I felt the greatest service that I can give is to provide support. And I started off in my home with a few people, and so I've been doing this for over 30 years, because it's just the empowerment of people to understand their spiritual nature.
There is a spiritual nature to being human, isn't there?
We hope so. It is the hope. It is the dream. It is the truth, Master. It is the fortitude that keeps you moving, and you get to experience your aspect of spirituality through the love in your life, the things that you love, the things that love you back unconditionally, and it is an extraordinary place to be.
So for the people,
yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, no, I was just gonna ask Beverly, for the people that live in your area, or the people that are watching the interview today, what's the easiest way to connect with you, to contact you, Beverly?
I have a couple of websites. San Diego IANS.org is the group, and my personal website is Beverly Brodsky.org, which I just had them rebuilt, both of my websites. So that's been a whole process of finding, having that and people can write to me at bevbrodsky at gmail.com. And I do hope to hear from many of you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And Brad, Kasey, if you are so kind also to share, how can our audience, reach out to you? Where can we find you, and where can we find Julius?
Well, our website is expandwithjulius.com. And if you are interested in this program or other programming, that is on that website. But you could also email us at support@expandwithjulius.com, and we have a lovely staff that will take care of you and get you headed where you need to be.
And being on the show.
Yes.
Exactly. So exactly. So before we go, invite everybody that has had a near-death experience. We are here every single Wednesday in the morning. In the morning in the U.S. at 11 Eastern Standard Time every single Wednesday in the morning. So if you have had a near-death experience, you are all of you invited to this show, to this program, to share all those experiences and all those lessons and teachings that you learned through that experience. As Beverly has explained to us today, Beverly, we're so grateful that you have accepted to be here with us today. Thank you very much for everything that you have shared. Thank you so much for what you do every single day.
Yes, thank you very much, Beverly, for taking the time. I know it's early. You're in California. You're an hour ahead of us. You've probably been up for a couple hours already. Thank you so much for your service, for your experience, and for being brave enough to come on to a television program and talk about it.
Yeah. And to all the viewers out there, we hope you take away all of your jewels and all of your magical components from this conversation as are intended for you, and have an absolutely extraordinary day.
Exactly. Thank you again, Brad. Thank you, Kasey, and to all the audience of Mindalia TV. This is Angel Ribo. Thank you very much for being with us today, and see you soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.